Hello Internet, my name is Quinn and this is Blondihacks. Today I'm going to make a physiotherapy stick. It's a thing, I swear. Observe our subject performing physiotherapy for a shoulder injury. You can see from her expression that this exercise is tedious and unexciting, but also, frankly, uncomfortable, which makes our subject less inclined or less interested in doing physiotherapy. The stick our subject was using is a standard piece of PVC pipe. Now, I'm going to tell you something about PVC pipe that you probably don't know. It has a hole all the way down the center of it. Now, this is frequently used in industry for passing liquids or wiring or other substances. However, when used as a physiotherapy stick, it creates the dreaded ring hand. Ring hand is not to be underestimated. Ring hand killed my mother. Well, actually, stage 4 lung cancer from smoking killed my mother, but ring hand is a serious problem too. In all seriousness, it's genuinely uncomfortable, and it makes physiotherapy genuinely uncomfortable. As though it wasn't already, now you got a sore hand at the end of it. You might be thinking you could put a piece of tape over the end of that, maybe with a little bit of cardboard to make that more comfortable. If you're feeling fancy, you could 3D print something to go over the end of that. These are all extremely simple, reasonable, and cost-effective solutions to this problem. You know what those are not, however, is content. Now, the great thing about having a machine shop is that you can take any problem at all and overcomplicate it. Let's go over to my plastics bin and see what I have that we might be able to use to solve this problem. I've got this really nice piece of Delrin here. Delrin is a machining plastic. That's a trade name. I believe acetal is the actual name of the plastic. It's really nice stuff. See? The ring is still there. The struggle is real. It's still uncomfortable. I want to make a mushroom cap of some sort to fit inside the end of the pipe. So I'm going to take a measurement on the inside of this pipe. It's coming out at 605 thousandths. So what I'd like to do is make a mushroom cap that will be a press fit into the end of this. With Delrin, that's very easy to do because Delrin is very elastic. I'm going to throw it in the lathe, and the first thing I'm actually going to do is set up the vacuum cleaner. If you've ever turned Delrin, you know that like aluminum, it makes very long, stringy chips that don't break and are really, really annoying. They wrap themselves up around the chuck and make a giant mess. It's genuinely inconvenient. Now, I learned this trick, I think, from Adam Booth or maybe from Stefan Gottswinter, I'm not sure. But you set up a shop vac near the tool and it will magically suck away all the Delrin chips. This is because, unlike aluminum, Delrin is extremely lightweight, so it doesn't take much power to suck it away from the work. This is so effective that, honestly, as you're turning, the chips just disappear as if they never existed. And I had some really amazing footage of that to show you, or at least I would if I somehow had not failed to press record on what was the most visually interesting part of what's already a short, hot mess of a video. What am I even doing with my life? Well, luckily I did have one last facing cut to do on this boss, which I did manage to catch, so you'll at least get some idea of how the vacuum trick works. You can see that the string of Delrin, no matter how heavy a cut you're taking, just gets sucked right into the vacuum. And this works really, really well. So thank you to whoever it was that gave me this technique. Without this, turning Delrin really, really sucks. With this trick, it's actually super pleasant. You don't even hardly have to clean up the lathe when you're done. I turned this boss first because it's going to help me to fixture the part for the second operation on the other side, where we're going to turn the actual mushroom shape. For the dimension of this, I had to choose between the size of the collet that I have, because we're going to have to use the collet chuck for the next step, and the size that's going to fit inside that pipe. Luckily, there was a middle size, about 615 thousandths, that was just inside the range of an ER32 collet in the 5/8 size, which I do have, and the press fit size for Delrin in plastic pipe, which is somewhere in the like 5 to 10 thou range. Delrin is very elastic, so you can do very aggressive press fits with it. The collet chuck is crucial for this next operation because I'm going to be using the Tornado ball turning attachment, and it needs a lot of clearance under the chuck, as you'll see. So off with the compound and the tool post, and in with the Tornado hand turning system. Honestly, this whole project might have been a fun excuse to use the Tornado, because I really like this thing, it's super fun, and I don't get to use it all that often, but also ring hand. The Tornado table bolts on in place of your compound. Then there's a series of attachments that work on top of this for various types of operations. In this case, I'm going to be using the large ball turning attachment, which is an arm with a pivot pin that slots into one of the holes in the table, and then it's got a sliding track on it with a stop that holds the turning workhead, which has the actual cutting tool in it, and allows you to set the turning radius. This attachment will go all the way from 0 to very, very large on radius. You can see how you can swing it around like that to get the radius that you want. You can also see now how important the clearance under the chuck is for this attachment. You really need a collet chuck for this. It's very rare that you can get a tornado setup that works with a 3-jaw or 4-jaw chuck, because at the very least the table and frequently the attachments on the tornado have to be able to scoot under the chuck like this. It is a serious limitation of this device. As cool as it is, if you don't have a collet chuck, it's probably a very limited use to you, if I'm being honest. For radius, I just kind of eyeballed something that looked like it would be about right. I'm not doing a hemisphere, I'm doing a larger radius than the diameter of the part. This makes it a perfect job for the tornado because one of the limitations of the ball turner on this device is that it's kind of difficult to get a very specific radius. If you have to have an accurately dimensioned radius on your part, and that can be difficult. But if you just want a cosmetic and aesthetic radius, this thing is really, really good at. Now there are ways to set accurate radii with this thing. I'll refer you to Mark Presling's channel. Prezzo has a couple of very clever laser cut discs that he uses for precisely setting a specific radius with this tool, but I haven't done anything like that, so mostly I just eyeball it. But it should be pretty obvious now how it works. I'm feeding with the carriage in this footage, and the cross slide is locked. You can feed with whichever slide is most convenient for the type of radius that you're doing. In my case, the scrap that I'm using had quite a big drill divot left in the end of it from some other part, so I'm just continuing the radius inward until that divot is gone. The tornado works extremely well for all kinds of situations in soft materials. Delrin, aluminum, and brass, for example, all work great. Free machining steel is also doable. It's a lot more work though, because you are asking a lot of your finger strength at a certain point. And well, stainless and tool steel, probably not. I have not tried them, but I think you would really struggle with either of those materials. It's not really what this tool is designed for. It's more designed for creating interesting shapes for if you're making chess pieces or that kind of thing. There's tracer attachments and all kinds of other stuff that go with this machine. This is all from Eccentric Engineering, hashtag not sponsored if you're interested. It's called the Tornado with a U, and well, you can Google them if you like. Stand up folks, they make really nice tools. Once the dome shape was where I wanted it, I also did a little bit of turning just by holding the tool steady and feeding with the carriage. This allowed me to turn down the diameter of the part a little bit to clean up the factory edge on the Delrin, which was a little bit rough and inconsistent. Here you can really see also what a mess it makes trying to do regular turning with Delrin. The chips immediately get all wrapped up around the work and the chuck. This is a very, very light cut, but if you're doing a heavy cut, imagine this times 1,000. And without that vacuum trick, you're in for a very unpleasant time turning this stuff. There's a little bit of a sharp edge now between those two surfaces, so I'll blend those together generously with a file. Again, just trying to make this as comfortable as possible when it's in my palm and being pressed in there with a fair bit of force, as is required by shoulder physio. That feels really, really comfortable. Happy with that. Then finally, I'll do some polishing with 2000 grit paper, just to make sure there's no tool marks or anything left in there. I think that should be it for the main part of this project. Let's get this out of there and see how it looks. Yep, it's a plastic mushroom. See if we can get it into the pipe. I've got a generous chamfer on the boss that goes into the pipe, and I'm going to chamfer the inside of the pipe as well, just to ease these together. As I said before, this is a very aggressive press fit, somewhere in the 5 to 10 thousandths range, but with Delrin you can do that. It's very, very elastic, as is PVC pipe. So I should be able to set this up now in the vise, and with those two chamfers on each part guiding them together, it shouldn't be too difficult to get them together. I'm going to use a wooden mallet for the job. And that's going in very, very nicely. I can tell that that's a nice tight fit, and it definitely won't come loose, but I didn't have too much trouble tapping that in. Quick test drive. That feels really, really comfortable. I'm genuinely excited by that. All kidding aside, it really does make your hands sore if you don't have something covering the end of that pipe. and I have to do these physio exercises a lot. So this is going to make life much, much better for me around here. Now observe our subject with the use of the Physio Mushroom 2000, how much happier she is. She'll be excited to do physio. She'll have no ring hand afterwards. In fact, this is so comfortable that she may break out into spontaneous dancing. Caution, do not dance during physiotherapy. This is barely a video, I don't even know. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons. See you next time. It's a physio stick. It's a plastic mushroom. I made a thing. Look, it's a video, all right? I don't know. What's this going to be, like 11 minutes long? I don't. Just pretend it's 2015 YouTube, okay?